And welcome back to the live morning show. I'm here for the first time this morning. My good friend and trusted co-host Lem Carnegie got things rolling for us, and Parker Phillips with the Agribusiness Report. We've already heard from Fred as well. So got Mr. Greg Brown here with me this morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you.
Always a pleasure.
Working in the police department. You kind of throw that word retired out here and there. You know, it's kind of what does retired mean? It just means you kind of work when you want to, right?
we find in the, once law enforcement officers, when we retire, the real work begins.
Yeah, that's what I said. It used to be when you said retired, the thing was, I'm done working. But
yes, sir.
I think it just means you sometimes, in a lot of cases, you work even more than you did to start with. So we appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule to be with us today. We got a lot of things we're going to cover. The big thing is a big appreciation lunch. We're going to talk about that at the end for everyone. Let's go back to Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Wednesday morning, we all wake up. We go about our normal business. Skies looked okay, and then as we get a little bit later in the morning, they got a little darker and a little darker.
Yes, sir.
But here's the question on everyone's mind. Maybe you can speak to this. Everyone seemed so ill prepared for this tornado, and the lack of warning. It just seems to have we've talked to Fred, our meteorologist, about this, but we saw a very unprecedented event here on Wednesday. Take us through what you have seen, what you have heard, and some of the aftermath of that.
Of course. So, like you said, I think this storm, I live not too far outside of Nashville in Spring Hope, and it just started as an afternoon storm at my house, and then just a few miles down the road, you saw what took place, and unfortunately there was severe damage, some injuries, but we were blessed that there were no lives lost during this storm. But when you say prepared, the sheriff's offices, we got two of the best sheriffs in North Carolina, and obviously I believe in the United States.
I agree.
I don't think you're going to find two sheriffs that work so close together.
I agree. Especially
with the community they're involved with. They don't just police their communities; they're a staple in the community.
Absolutely. I'm very, very impressed with how they collaborate as well. You mentioned, what they Edgecombe and Nash.
Yes, sir.
But how many times do you see them shoulder to shoulder, side by side, all the time? Speak to that effort and what you think that means to the community to see the two sheriffs, not only, like I say, boots to the ground, working hard, doing whatever it takes, but also having that collaborative effort together. What do you think that means for the community?
It means that they have two of the best top law enforcement officials that respond whenever, wherever, and they provide the resources to the community. Both these sheriffs' partnership with top government officials, local officials, citizens in the community. We can speak to that. Sunday, Governor Cooper came down.
Yes, he did.
Both the sheriffs were there. Our supervisor personnel were there as well. We had Alan Cheshire, Shelley Willingham, numerous county officials. I don't want to leave anybody out. That they took a tour of the damage. And Governor Cooper being from Nash County, I think that held to his heart dear.
Kind of hit home for him, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Our offices, we have equipment that I don't think any other sheriff's office has. We have Nash County. We have a cut team.
All right.
That these deputies. They're trained personnel. We have 2 or 3 trailers.
Right.
We've got our 4-wheel drive vehicles. We make sure everywhere is safe, that the power is cut off. We let our public utilities come in first.
Okay.
But they'll go in and they work numerous hours, straight through, cutting trees, moving trees, making sure debris that's out of the roadway.
Right.
So the citizens in those communities can get to their homes a lot safer.
I think it's a lost. I don't want to say forgotten, but when you lose your power or something like
Yes,
that,
sir.
your patience level isn't great. Like the
Right.
only thing
Yes,
you
sir.
can think of is me, and that. And I get that, especially if it's hot outside. But one of the things that impressed me, and I know that this is what the local officials and the governor saw, and it is that effort of how hard they are working. They are out there. They're doing everything they
Yes,
can.
sir.
They're, sometimes, and many times putting their life on the line, or doing work that, quite frankly, most of us wouldn't do or wouldn't know how to do. When you look back at the effort that has gone in, and we're still really just
Yes.
beginning. We've definitely still got a lot to clean up. What stands out to you the most about this, what you've seen from Wednesday on, as the sheriffs and the governor and the local officials and these workforce have come together? What have you seen that's impressed you the most here?
Just the way that everyone responded and committed. It took minutes
Yeah.
for everybody to get together,
Yeah.
and it was unwavering commitment,
Yeah, it was.
selfishness, hard work, and these guys got in there, and the men and women got in and just like you said, boots to the ground,
Yeah,
and got it done.
Absolutely.
I think they started at 1:30 and worked till 8, 9 o'clock that night.
Yeah, that
And-
first Wednesday was just incredible. I
Yes,
remember
sir.
driving through to see some of the damage and drive to, obviously some of the areas were off limits for the regular public
Right.
to drive through, but the scene was just, it was horrific as far as that goes. But
sir.
you swelled with a great sense of pride, and you hear all these stories about people that have stepped up and helped each other. Served each other. You hate to say this, but sometimes horrific tragedies, storms, weather events, you don't want to see them, but they
Right.
bring out the absolute best in
Correct.
our community.
Yes, sir. And just speaking with some of the deputies that were out working, they had the citizens in the communities come up to them and bring them, water, Gatorade, asked if they wanted something to eat.
Right.
I think one deputy, there were several lawn care services that had come
Yeah.
up that were prepared to go in, and they had their personnel there ready to go to work. And like you said, sometimes it takes incidents and events like this to bring us together. And we had the major damage right down the road at Pfizer,
I know.
and luckily no one was injured in that. All through Edgecombe County, I think the Bozeman farm was hit as well.
Yep.
That's a leading crop grower
Yeah,
for
exactly.
the area.
Exactly.
So yes, sir. But getting back to that, the sheriffs know what it took for everyone to come together
Right.
to make that happen,
Right.
to get everybody back to somewhat that they could get back to their homes. So what we wanted to do, and we discussed it, we're doing an appreciation lunch
Okay. Awesome.
Friday, August the 4th at noon, and that's going to be at the Leggett EMS Conference Center
Okay.
at 896 O'Neill Road in Whitakers. We're going to be, inviting. We're getting some letters together to give to
Okay.
these department heads to get their personnel together.
Outstanding.
But the sheriffs will be out there. We'll be cooking along with our personnel, and we just want to give back to let them know how much we appreciate them and show our gratitude and thanks to them.
Absolutely. I mean, that is a wonderful thing. Like you say, Friday, August 4th at
Yes, sir.
noon. You look at the collaborative effort that was put in place here, and like you say, you do want to give back. You want to rally the community. The perception, to me, Lem and I talk about the word perception all the time, and we've seen over the last couple of years media take their different spin with how people view law enforcement, and a lot of that is very, very unfortunate. So it warms my heart to see, like you say, these two wonderful sheriffs, Sheriff Atkinson, Sheriff Stone, coming
yes.
out, all the things that they do in the community, the officers and the deputies that they put in local schools and in other things to get out and meet people, the community drives and everything like that. But just that, going back to what you're saying, Greg, the response to this was just very
Yes.
impressive. I remember,
Yes, sir.
and that's why I'm glad you're here, because I remember looking back on this and saying, wow, they were, you never want to take that type of action. You never want to have it happen. But everything I've seen just goes to show you how prepared and how diligent Sheriff Stone and Sheriff Atkinson are. So
Yes, sir.
tell us again who will be invited
Yes,
to the lunch and some of the other details in case people are seeing this, say, hey, that person needs to know about this.
Sure.
How do they learn more?
Yes, sir. So we've already got our letters.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be sending. It's going to be hand delivered to department heads. To
Right.
our public safety friends, public utilities.
Okay.
Community services and county services personnel.
Gotcha.
And they'll all be invited, and they'll have the information on that letter
Okay.
to contact us to let them know who will be attending. And like I said, we just want to give back
Absolutely.
to let show our gratitude and how much we appreciate them.
Well, it comes full circle,
Yes, sir.
and those are the things that you want to do. You look at police work, sheriff's work, and linesmen and utility workers and things like that. They, sometimes you just take them for granted.
Mm-hmm.
That you just, they're there. You just assume they're there. You take what they do for granted, which is unfortunate because we
Right.
shouldn't do that. But because they are so vitally important. But
Mm-hmm.
anything else that you would like to share with our viewers before we let you go this morning?
I mean, just again, I think we have, I appreciate you letting us come on.
Absolutely,
We
glad to do
have
it.
two of the best sheriffs, Sheriff Stone
I
and
agree.
Sheriff Atkinson,
I agree.
and we'll keep on and pushing on, and we appreciate all of our communities that come together and support us as well.
Absolutely. Well, Greg, thank you so much
Yes, sir.
for joining us.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you being
Pleasure
here
as always.
on a short notice. We're going to go ahead and swap out and let Lim come back on here with us. And anytime that you have announcements
Yes,
or
sir.
anything like that, you can call us. I know our phone lines are down today, but you can call us
Yes,
and
sir.
we'll help you get the word out. But we appreciate you being
Yes, sir.
here.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Yes,
buddy.
sir.
Announcements: primary care, urgent care now open. Full service lab and x-ray, 107A Nashville Drive in Nashville, right across from Ribeyes. They're now taking appointments. You can call 252-676-8285. And don't forget, of course, that this coming Saturday, and really rumor has it that that's actually why Lim wasn't with us for the last 10 minutes, because he's practicing for the upcoming WHIG TV karaoke, which will be taking place one time only this Saturday from 2 to 4 at the Golden East Crossing Mall. Come celebrate 25 years with us. And how's the voice? I heard some noise down the hall. Rumor was you were practicing. Now, if you want to squash that or go with that, but rumor was you were practicing for karaoke. Wednesday, July 26th and Thursday, July 27th is the Women's Self-Defense and Shooting Class at 2725 North Church Street in Rocky Mount. Class instruction includes self-defense tactics and awareness, critical defensive shooting. Instruction given by the aforementioned Clee Atkinson and Keith Stone, our two wonderful sheriffs that we just talked about. Cost is $100, and you can call 813-8898 for more information. Breaking the Bread, Building the Body, a gathering of the body of Christ from across the Rocky Mount community. Join us for community worship Sunday, August 6th, 6 p.m. at Word Tabernacle Church, 821 Word Plaza, featuring Reverend Alice Johnson Curl, preaching, music by a combined community choir, and the celebration of Holy Communion. And the final announcement in our busy schedule today is the Teeny Tiny Turtles on the Tar, Saturday at 10 a.m. at the Rocky Mount Mills. A day at the Derby, adopt a turtle and change a life. So, Lim, would you like to respond to the rumors of preparing your voice for the upcoming karaoke, or was I just hearing something else in the hallway that was something completely different?
Did you say something? What? I wasn't paying attention.
You didn't pay attention to the announcements? Come
I
on,
wasn't paying
Lim.
attention to you.
Well, we're back, and
We are back.
I don't know how you prefaced how we would begin today, so I will
Well-
turn things back over to you to see how we want to get rolling this morning.
First of all, I just want to say, I think we all owe a debt of thanks to the two sheriff's departments for doing what they're doing. That's above and beyond the call of duty. It really does speak to the kindness and just the spirit in the community that right here after the tornado at Pfizer and with everything that the first responders and the law enforcement officers do for all of us on a daily basis, that the sheriff's department would say, we're going to do something for them. We're going to feed them. We're going to honor them. We're going to take a chance just to say thank you for everything that you do. And that's a really good situation.
Absolutely, and like you say, you don't want to take the work that they do for granted by any stretch of the imagination. So, Lynn, what would you like to lead with this morning, my friend?
Well, we have an unfortunate story that we're going to lead with this morning.
Yes, we do.
This story has been developing, but it broke on WRAL News yesterday, and the developments are coming relatively quickly now that that's happened. This is an addition to a story that we had back in February about the death of a child, Christelle Lane. You may remember that the story at that point was that Christelle was beaten to death by his grandmother.
Her grandmother.
By her grandmother, Patricia Ann Ricks, who is in custody at this moment on first-degree murder charges. Christelle had a history, and the grandmother was keeping Christelle and four other siblings. Christelle had been, there had been some indications that there was abuse going on in the household, one of which was that in December of 2022, Christelle went to school at Cooper's Elementary, and there was evidence that the school saw at that point that there was abuse going on in the home, which was reported at that point through the school channels to the Nash County Department of Social Services. That led to an investigation by the Nash County Sheriff's Department, at which point the Sheriff's Department and the investigating detective, Detective Marcy Hasty, recommended to Nash County Department of Human Social Services that Christelle be removed from the home, which Nash County Department of Social Services did not do. In February of 2023 was when the child died, and the grandmother has been arrested and incarcerated, as I said, on first-degree murder charges. This led to discussions that we had on this program about what was going to happen. The State Department of Health and Human Services became involved. They have issued a directive at that point they issued a directive to the Nash County Department of Social Services that they needed to implement a plan of corrective action to make sure that this did not happen again. There were calls at that point for the leadership of the Nash County Department of Social Services to be removed because this happened under their watch.
Right.
That would be Amy Pridgett Hamlet, who is the director, and Kimberly Nicholson, who is the program administrator. No less than Robbie Davis, chairman of the Nash County Board of Commissioners, and I will say a part owner of this station, said that at that point he saw no reason why either of those two women should be removed from their positions because of this. We really have heard very little from Nash County Board or the Nash County Department of Social Services after that, but this led WRAL to do an investigative report into Christelle Lane's death. In that investigation, they have uncovered that in 2020 there was another death of another child by the name of Chase Hilliard. Mother is being held and has been charged with second-degree murder and non-accidental trauma to the head of the child. Her name is Vanquetta Hilliard. Now, in this case, Social Services did the investigation. Social Services looked very deeply into this situation, and it turns out that Mrs. Hilliard was already being provided services by Social Services prior to Chase Hilliard's birth. And this is directly from Nash County Department of Social Services. Mrs. Hilliard has mental challenges, and she was under the special attention and care of her mother. She reads at a third grade level. This is directly from the report from the Nash County Department of Social Services. She was also under investigation by Nash County Department of Social Services for providing improper prenatal care while she was pregnant with Chase. Chase was born prematurely, and during the first year of Chase's life, while he stayed in the hospital for a period of time, Mrs. Hilliard's, Vanquetta Hilliard's mother passed away, which took away the primary caregiver that Mrs. Hilliard had. Nash County Department of Social Services also kept her under investigation and working with her, and they documented that she was unable to properly care for Chase. The social workers recommended that Chase be removed from the home, which again, in that point, Nash County Department of Social Services refused to do. There are a couple of things here to keep in mind. The main thing is that neither the law enforcement officers nor the social workers on the ground have the authority to remove a child from a home. That can only be done with the guidance and the direction and the approval of administration of Nash County Department of Social Services. So if you saw the news last night, or you would like to see the report, it is on WRAL's website. There is a Nash County Department of Social Services employee who is interviewed. Now, this person is behind a screen. Their voice has been altered. All you can see is their silhouette. There's no way to tell whether it is a man or a woman or whatever. But they very directly say that they had serious concerns in both the Chase Hilliard and the Crystal Lane cases, that it would be in the best interest of the child, and in Crystal Lane's case, of the children with her 4 other siblings being kept by her grandmother, that those children be removed from the home until a further investigation could be done. In both cases, director and administration in the Department of Social Services in Nash County did not do that. In a follow-up to this, there was a closed-door meeting of the Nash County Board of Commissioners yesterday, in which we don't know what was discussed, but we assume that this was the case that was discussed. Following that, Nash County Commissioner Gwen Wilkins issued a statement saying this is a stain on Nash County. It took that child's death for the child to be free and for her siblings to be out of danger, and that's a shame. Ms. Wilkins also went on to call for the removal of the director and I believe the program administrator as well, to the Nash County Department of Social Services. There has been no other statement, no other really official statement from any single member of the Nash County Board of Commissioners. However, the Nash County Board of Commissioners did issue the following statement. This came over the signature of Chair County Board of Commissioner Robbie Davis and Dr. H. Mike Johnson, Chairman of Nash County Human Services Board, and I'll read the statement to you. Quote, "The governing boards have reviewed the report and have instructed staff to take steps to begin correcting the issues listed. Nash County is already developing a corrective action plan as prescribed in the letter and working closely with the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services to ensure we are meeting all the requirements issued by the state. We appreciate their partnership as we move our Department of Social Services forward and continue to improve in the areas noted in the letter." End quote. Wayne, I think that's a pretty decent overview of the facts. We have to step aside for our commercials at the top of the hour. When we come back, I'd like to get your thoughts on what we have seen and what we've heard in these 2 cases.
We will begin our analysis right after this. You're watching the live morning show brought to you by Don Bullock Chevrolet. Stay with us.